Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're listening to us from. Welcome to yet another episode of Footprints, a podcast that tells the stories of our elders and gleans their wisdom and perhaps their folly. Today we have our guest, Professor Timothy Wangusa, and we are here in the Tranquility Gardens in Mbale City now, yes?
Yes.
We'll talk about the city status later and what makes a city. But anyhow, we are so happy that you would give us your time to have this conversation. And I'd like you to tell us a bit about yourself by taking us way back in time when Timothy was but a little boy.
Wow. So
Where did you grow? Where were you born? What did you like eating? Where did you go to school? What naughty things did you do as a child?
Thank you. I was born long ago.
In a land far away. Let's not start like
Years long ago in this land. And that's more than 80 years ago. And 80 years ago is a long time. Don't you think so? Yes. That was in colonial Uganda. 1942 was exactly the middle year of the Second World War.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, 1939 to 1945. And bang in the middle was me.
Yes.
Yeah, coming into this world. As I discovered later, and I grew up in idyllic countryside. It was beautiful. The scenery, the environment. Masaba's mountain. Every time you got up in the morning, the sun was rising over Mountain Elgon, otherwise here known as Masaba's mountain. Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about Masaba for those who don't know?
Masaba is the Chintu of Masaba. Masaba is the name we attribute to, or is it ascribed to the ancestor of the that's known as Masaba, the offspring of Masaba. As to where Masaba came from, it's legend, it's a myth. The origin the fictitious origin that I recreate in one of my books is that he didn't walk to this place from anywhere, that he just emerged from the ground like a mushroom on top of the mountain.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there are stories like he marrying either himself or a grandchild by the name of Mwambu, grandchild marrying a Kalenjin girl. And the Kalenjin, who actually include the Sabini of Kapchorwa and Moi's people and President William Ruto's people, who are just the other side of Mountain Elgon. So one of the legends is that Mwambu loses his bull and goes looking for it, and until he finds himself in the land of the Kalenjin. And the word for bull in among the Kalenjin, something very close to Gisu for bull. Yes, Gisu. And so legend has it that Mwambu marries a Kalenjin girl. But before he marries her, he has got to get circumcised. He submits himself to that rite of circumcision as a condition for himself and his male children in perpetuity. Then they come home. They come home to spend honeymoon in Masaba land, and they come down from the top of the mountain to a spot near Mbale here. They were rode down on a cobweb string. Can you imagine? They didn't fly. They rode down on a cobweb string and landed at a spot called Mutoto. And every other year, for the last well, since independence, I suppose, every other year, even years, that is, circumcision season is lodged at Mutoto on the 1st of January in even years. This is the land where this...
Oh, so circumcision is happening this year?
Yes. It used to be odd years in the 17th century until there was a great famine for 3 years. Boys weren't circumcised. When the resumption did take place, it happened an even year that year.
Okay.
And it's every other year because these initiates eat a lot of food. And if they eat our food every year,
you'd go hungry.
So
Yes.
it's staggered.
It's also to give time for
every other year.
So you, as a little boy, wake up every morning to see the great master.
Yes, and the sun trembling out of its cradle over Mount Elgon, and that kind of thing and so forth. I grew up really enchanted by the mountain. Yeah, and the beauty of the rainbow across the face of the mountain once in a while, of the rainbow, plus, and I do share this in one of my poems, when the setting sun, in a setting sun lights the face of the mountain, at the same time there is a rainbow. We are told that then it's like the spirits of the living are coming back to commune, of the dead, the spirits of the dead coming back to commune with the living. And that soft and filtered golden light is the light of the as Professor Mbale would put it, the living dead. The dead who never, the dead
never die.
They will never die.
Wow.
Wow. That is...
My goodness. So where do you go to school and where do you pick up the love of language, of literature or poetry?
The first, the equivalent of modern baby class, middle class, or the top class, was me and my slightly older brothers looking after cattle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so our kindergarten was absolutely
out in the field.
Yes.
Under some cows.
Yes. So our kindergarten was really with the cows and goats. Yes. And I do mention that someplace. That's like between 1947 to 49. And 1950, I began regular school at a place in now Manafwa district, known as Masaba district, which still is like 8 kilometers from home, and I was walking uphill all the way and walking downhill all the way. Yeah, to the neck of Mount Elgon, near Lamsinda Ridge. 6 years, P1 to P6, and my enchantment with the language must have started around that time. At home, you are listening to night folk tales from mom, from dad. In school, you are imbibing the stories, Bible stories, So an interesting point of comparison would be the enchantment with the rainbow. The enchantment with the rainbow. Then in the Bible, you read that the rainbow is associated with God's anger. God had been very angry with the human race, so he obliterates the human race except Noah's family. God was angry with us, and he said, let me fix a rainbow in the sky. Hereafter, whenever I see the rainbow, I remember that I am God and not losing my temper. Yeah. Whenever I see the rainbow in the sky, I remember that humanity, my human beings are frail creatures, and I should never again destroy them by flood. Yeah. Which, of course, then leads on in the fullness of time to the cross. Yeah, Jesus died on the cross to make the difference.
So where did you go to secondary? Where did you go from your P6?
Please indulge me. Let me say something about language in the primary school.
Oh, sure.
Which was that? It was a missionary school, native Anglican Church. So going to Sunday service every day, every week, of course, every week was a must. 6 years, pre-1 to P6. And I record somewhere listening to a sermon in Uganda by Masaba. Of course, Uganda was the official language here. And this reverend from northern Masaba land, this was southern Masaba land, is preaching a sermon. And the sermon lasts like 1 hour, long length of thing. Inside that sermon, he mentioned that once upon a time, there was a man who used to preach a sermon of 3 words only. I've shared this, Jackie, in the monitor, and I was mesmerized by this. He said, John, not the Baptist, John, the apostle, whom Jesus, you remember, loved most of all the 12, and he would recline on Jesus' breast at dinner. But the man Jesus loved so much grew to be a very, very old man. On a Sunday, he would be carried on a stretcher to church to go and preach. And according to my reverend, who was preaching a lengthy sermon, says this John the apostle used to preach a sermon of 3 words only. Translated into Uganda.
Yes.
One Sunday he preaches exactly that. Following Sunday they carry him back. Following Sunday, and preaches a sermon of 3 words, which is bange, mwagalanenga. Bange, mwagalanenga. They take him home. Next Sunday, Apostle John is going to preach. Bange, mwagalanenga. Said, what? A sermon of 3 words? Yes. And it has everything that the congregation needs, and they keep on coming. That was an enchantment. The linguistic enchantment.
Yeah.
Yes. You asked about secondary school. I go to Masaba school. 1956 it was. Masaba was 3 years old. In those days we had, after primary, 6 years, you go to a junior school which was 1, 2 years or 3. So Masaba was 3 years old, headed by a man who had been principal of Makerere University College, Headmaster Tomlings.
Okay.
Because his name begins with T-O-M. So we called him Mr. T-O-M-B, isn't it? Tom. Oh, yes, Tom. So we nicknamed him Mr. Intana in Rumasaba, Wangani. Everyone called him Wangani. Yes. Yeah, but going to that school, after primary 6, going into any junior secondary school, you had to do an interview. Oh, yes. An oral interview.
Okay.
Yes. You pass your exams, but you must do an interview.
So what do they ask you?
Language. Mr. Tomlings, the white man, had tours to teach Africans on his staff. They come to my part of the country to interview those of us who want to go to Masaba school. And in my auto, the background to this is that I'd been taught in English the word freezing, and I did not grasp exactly what it means. The teacher failed to associate it with water becoming solid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought when you're feeling very cold, you are freezing. So I am asked at this interview by one of the teachers, how are you? How many words is that? 3. And I say, I am freezing. And they all burst into laughter. They laughed and laughed. And it was a chilly afternoon. It had been drizzling. I thought I'd spoken a good English. Kumbe, I just made some nice nonsense. They laughed and said, you have passed the interview with the flying colors. Kwisha. 3 words.
3 words.
3 words.
So 3 words seem to follow you.
Yes. I've had examples of 3 words in your afterlife. Yes. 3 words. Yes. Even I have a poem on the Trinity which begins with the 3 words.
Father, Son.
But the heading, the title itself, the title itself is 3 words, which is the Trinity Tree. The Trinity Tree. And every line, with only 3 lines, begins with the T and ends with the T.
Do you remember your first poem? When did you first write a poem?
I don't think I do, but it must be somewhere when I was an undergraduate in my career. I think so. Although I'd been doing literature as a subject from really junior school every year. From Masaba school, we did literature as a subject. Nabumari High as a subject. King's College Budo as a subject. But I did not really got into writing.
So you're an Obi of Budo?
Yeah. Gachari Mabanga.
Gachari
Mabanga.
What else were you in?
England, of course.
Oh, England, of course.
Yeah, the only one which was on 2 levels. The only Karina.
What years were these? So that's where you did your...
The year of Uganda's independence, plus the following year. So when Uganda was celebrating 60 years, 2 years ago, and Mbale was like celebrating 100. When you add 100 to 60, you get what? 160. If you divide by 2, you get what?
80.
80 is what I was.
Yeah.
Yes. 2 years ago, Mbale was 100. I was 80. Uganda was 60. Isn't that beautiful?
It is indeed. 3 ages, 3 words. Let's go with 3s. Wow. So you don't remember what your first poem was, but do you remember when you might have written it or attempted to write a poem?
No, but what I remember, my earliest recorded poem is actually, I'm on my way to England to go do a master's degree. In those days, that's 1967, after my first degree, and I went on the same plane with the famous Professor Sam Tuliamahika. He was going to do a PhD in statistics. He was going to do masters in Luzungu. Yes, we traveled on the same plane. But in those days, you'd stop in London for 2 weeks, being acclimatized, being taught how to talk like a Mzungu, eat like a Mzungu, behave like a Mzungu.
And like, seriously?
Yes.
Oh.
And we were housed in a student's hostel in London. And I remember seeing a poem which really thrilled me. A poem. It was a parody on Psalm 23. Someone was satirizing trade union. So on my door, there was a parody of Psalm 23, which started with the lines, "The state is my shepherd. It makes me lie down on the job." Said, So that inspired my poem. Now we like the poem, Psalm 23, Part 2.
Yes.
Yes, which begins like, the state is my shepherd. I shall not want. It makes me lie down in a subsidized house, and so on and so on. So that's my really first recorded and published poem. And I'm humbled to, when I read here and there, someone has called it an East African classic. That poem of, just parodying some 23, but making a political statement about how the state really enslaves us. It enslaves us. And it was my pleasure in 1986 when the NRM government took over from the Okellos, when His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, wasn't Kaguta yet, came as a chancellor to Makerere University to officiate over the graduation, the first graduation, and he read that poem from start to finish. And he understood it to be what students expect from life, not the glamorous things. Because that poem ends by saying, yes, increments and promotions shall follow me, and I shall dwell in senior quarters forever. But what his excellency skipped was one line. Yea, though I walk through the shadow of the valley of Chivulu, I'll fear no condors, for the state is with me. Here comes the line which his excellency skipped. For its guns and pangas comfort me. I was in the audience and his excellency skipped that one. I said, you can quote me.
Yeah. You're being reported right now. You know, it's very interesting. And so do you think the two were always important to you in terms of your love of words, but also your awareness of current affairs of politics? Were they always in tandem as you wrote, as you taught, as you whatever you did in life?
Ask that again.
Your love of words and your awareness of current affairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Back in my career, I didn't only read English and religious studies. I also read political science. So I was, by the time I get to my career, I'm really interested in public affairs. And my colleagues who included my classmates, who included people like the late Akeke Mujaju, the speaker, Francis Ayome. And they would tease me one person, why you're doing Bible, religious studies and political science. What do you think? You're going to become a chaplain into parliament? But I always had that interest in political ideas. And indeed, on political science, we were thrilled to be doing the ancestors of political thought. Was it Plato, Aristotle? I met Aristotle not only in there, but also Aristotle has a famous book called Politics. He also has a famous book called Poetics. Same man. Politics. Poetics. Yeah,
that's powerful.
So those really, those are somewhere in me. They've been in me all this time.
Yes. Anyhow, so you left us on the plane going to do your master's, and then you come back, and where does life take you?
I spent 2 years in the UK doing my master's in English. It wasn't literature there. Yes. My master's degree, for what it's worth, was English, not literature. Literature, departments of English became departments of literature throughout Africa. I think the trend started in my career, actually. By the time I get back to 1969, Department of English has become Department of Literature. Yes, and...
but yet the two are separate, though.
The proponents, the Ngugis, the Ngugi wa Thiong'os and people of that generation made a case for, and so for, yes, literature is the substance of what you learn in the Department of English. Yeah. So you're not really reading English as a subject. That would be linguistics, part of languages. So anyhow, by the time I get back to my career in 1969, it's a department of literature.
Okay.
Yes. And that's why I came in as like a teaching assistant. Same year with the across was my friend Kike Mujaju, political science, a teaching assistant. Okero Julia across with the masters. At that time we had a masters as teaching assistant, and we've traveled, of course, our separate ways. But so that was the beginning of my career in my career of 33 years.
Wow.
Yes. Up to 2002.
2002.
Yes, please.
Had you always wanted to be a teacher?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yes, indeed.
Damn.
Yes.
Why so? Not that it's bad, but interesting.
Courtesy of role models. In secondary school, in the junior secondary school, there were those. They were the first Africans to teach us in secondary school. Were absolute role models. There was a famous Kabogo Zamusoke, Masabanized Uganda. It was absolutely fantastic. So I had fantastic role models in Masaba school, in Nabumari, the role model of a mathematician, the famous, yes, I say famous, James Ariada, and we were mesmerized, getting into Nabumari S1, we were meeting Ariada, and we are told this man is the first African, first Ugandan to get a degree in mathematics, and he got it from England's most famous university, Oxford. We said, wow. And he was such a good soul, After he died, James Ariada, decades later, 1984, we were so grieved, and I'm talking with a Mzungu man. David Binzi was his name, who taught English at Nabumari, same time as Ariada. When Ariada was killed, murdered by thugs, 1984, inside a civil government of Bote II. This Mzungu was studying somewhere at Makerere, says to me, and he was from England, Kent, he says, James Ariada was the best human being that he had ever met.
Wow.
Same. I confirm the same.
Yes.
He was a great man, a great Christian believer, unassuming, but absolutely exemplary. As a teacher would not suffer fools easily, but neither would he tell them off. Yeah, I have paid tribute to him most recently in the Sunday Monitor under the title, There Was Once a Rare Man Called Ariada. Yes. Well, yes, it's a tribute to my teacher. And if I may go personal, real on that one, Mrs. Ariada, the widow, reading this how many years later, 1984, that's 16 years to the end of the century, 16 plus 24, almost, was that nearly 40 years later, reading this, and her eldest son, who is like one from the top at the Bank of Uganda, they were so touched reading this story from someone who remembered Ariada so. Where we're seated now,
yes,
in Mbale, 2 weeks later, when I got to Mbale, Mrs. Ariada, through her son, Mayebo of Bank of Uganda, had delivered a big turkey for me here. I was so humbled and touched. Turkey was waiting for me here, which we ate for a whole week. My friends, so now we're talking about...
You teach for 33 years?
Yes, I teach for 33 years in Makerere.
What is the thing you enjoyed the most? And then we will start coming to your sunset or your evening time. Yes. What did you enjoy the most in teaching, and what frustrated you the most?
Frustration? No. Teaching, really, absolutely enjoyed it. There were little things. But my career was just enjoyment, pleasure, really. Let me share a moment. In lecture room 4, I'm teaching on I'm teaching this literature. Of course, I'm teaching on something called a topic called form, FORM, which is to do with something like the structure or the shape of a work of art. Something, a poem, for instance, has form, has a structure. And that morning, I'm saying, look, form is like, then I use this symbolism of a tree. The form is like what something that runs through an entire tree. So I said something like, form is like when it is like the roots of a tree and the stem of a tree and the branches and the flowers and the fruits being united, being held together by the sap in the treeness of the tree. And to my amazement, the entire class of like 50 got up on their feet and gave me a standing ovation. I went away and turned those words of mine into a poem. Yeah, a poem about which I called organic, something like organic form, organic and abstract form. So that form, first part is an abstract form of a poem, and the second part is an organic form of a poem. So the image of the tree illustrates organic form. When the form of a poem grows with the poem, as you read it down from line 1 to line 5, line 14, eventually maybe the form is growing. You don't know it's going to be a tree yet. You don't know that these roots, when you look up, you see what's the next phase is the stem, and then the branches and the leaves and the flowers and the fruits. Yeah. So that was a supreme moment, really, in all my teaching career. The students, just without telling one another, they would go to their feet and gain a standing ovation. Now, that is my pension on which I'm still living. Oh, Sisi government and university stopped paying me when you turn 75. Mercury stops giving you a pension. Oh, yes. I signed that at the beginning of my career. We shall give you a pension up to age 75.
And they were hoping that by that time,
yes, or until you die, whichever is earlier.
No.
So if you die before 75, they'll stop. If you don't die at 75, they'll still stop.
Yeah.
So
how did you prepare for so you sort of went into, you went into the job knowing it has a lifespan.
Yes.
And after this, I need to find something else to
do. Yes.
What was it like to start to prepare to leave?
Oh, well, but let me just briefly say that whereas I left Bakere at, when was that? 2002. I was turning 60 that year. I could have stayed on another 10 years as a professor. But from there I went, became vice chancellor someplace in Iteso for 2 years. Then the vice chancellor of Uganda Christian University picked on me, and that's where I really worked from 2003 to 2017. 2017 to 2019, I was visiting professor, Bishop Stewart University in Mbarara. UCU got me back at 2019 as a visiting professor until COVID happened.
Yes.
Until COVID happened, we limped on. So I went on teaching really up to this last year. So 1969 up to 2023.
That's a long time.
Kashinyabo indi gabaita eyawumula emirimu yenze nawumula emirimu.
What does it feel like to kuwumula emirimu, to rest from work?
It has its beauties. I don't anymore have to drive from my house every morning to go and teach. So now I do what? If I do any teaching for anybody, thanks to COVID, it's absolutely online.
Online, yes.
Yes, I do it a bit of teaching here and there, absolutely online. I carry my laptop with me. So that's why I'm joy that I don't have to go any place to share knowledge. I can pick it on or supply some knowledge on via the computer. Yeah. So that's one. So I'm not exactly. I'm unemployed, but not underemployed. I still write the occasional poem, the occasional newspaper article for Sunday Monitor. I'm still writing my third novel.
Yes.
As I follow up to upon this mountain and betwixt mountain and wilderness. So intellectually, by God's grace, I'm still like active.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes, I'm still like active, really. And where we're seated now is my small retirement home in Mbale, but stroke, a small guest house. So it's a small place, 10 rooms plus my own. So guests come in from time to time. Sometimes it's 0 guests a day, sometimes 2, once in a long while, like 10. So it's like self-supporting.
Yes.
Self-supporting and it also supports me. But as to what other financial support I get, that is a secret. I should not divulge.
Which is fine. And I was asking more about how did you prepare yourself mentally? There's the preparation financially, hopefully, and that's based on many assemblies, of course. But how does one prepare? And it's interesting in your case that yes, while there was a definite stop at Makere, you still used your time and talents to continue teaching.
Yes, and really, so indeed, there wasn't from 1969 to last year. I never looked forward to saying, hey, there's going to come a time when I'll be unemployed and I wonder what to do. Because up to last year, when in fact, it would see you saying, please, I'll now be only available occasionally, but not regularly. By which time, I have a shelter. I have a shelter. In terms of shelter, I have a shelter in Mukono. I have a shelter in Manafwa district. And there's this, what do you call this? Something in between.
Yeah.
Yes. There's this, is it a stopping place? Yeah. So for shelter, I have no problem. For feeding, isn't that the other worry? But the good Lord feeds them things.
They don't want to fly.
Yes.
How much more you?
Yes. And God has been, I must mention, that's been absolutely phenomenal, marvelous, wondrous to me. I don't starve. I have wonderful children. Absolutely. Let me say that. I have wonderful children who are very, very supportive.
It's one of your other loves. And so it's faith, it's family, language. Is your local language? Yes, so tell me a bit about that.
Local language. Yes, that's one of my lessons, passions. Indeed, it was a pleasure for me, having had the Mzungu missionary English education all along. It was a pleasure for me when some few years ago, I brought out a book in both English and Masaba. In both English, when we opened that book, the first page is Masaba, the facing page is English. So that is poems of Mount Elgon. You see, even that's a diminutive.
Yes.
Bitontome. Ebyo Rusozi Masaba.
Can you read one of your favorites in there? In Masaba.
Kukwase. Kukwase mile. Kukwase kuli kumulimo kweshi kukasyangaji. more. Mine has been an exalted role. Kukwase kuli kumulimo kwe si kukasiangach. Kwesi ni kiralamwo papa ulehasa ni papa pabene. My job makes me a father equal to the fathers of the boys I translate into men. Ndiunga ndi mumoni chie bahulu bebikuka ingona bafulu bositsana nabasindiha mushibara. You should hear the English over there.
Yes.
And as in the presence of elders of the clan, I have purified all the initiates and launched them into the world. Nga balomera tsiromo kukambira atwira nihubambisa byehurambisa mungo mukusabisa ndi nga kumusambwa nikuloma. The English of that you may be interested. With measured words of admonition and articles of perennial household use, with this ritual, washing of your hands, this now in inverted commas, with this ritual washing of your hands, with unfermented brew and water, you are forever rendered clean. And read a bit more about my English.
I was going to now speak Luganda. Shit. I was going to now speak Luganda. And I was going to say, you reference elders.
Yes.
And given that you are an elder, what is your wisdom? And I know we air ties. What wisdom do you leave with us?
What wisdom do I leave with you? That life is a given. We come into the world as a baby. We unconscious of what's happening to us. We grow into a speaking creature, a seeing creature, hearing creature, relational creature. Hey, life is relationship. Life is having a mother, a daddy, brother, siblings, friends. Yeah, but difficulties. We meet with the difficulties, with the challenges. But life is just an amazing mystery. An amazing mystery to be enjoyed. In spite of the difficulties. And to know that the difficulties we meet, whether of financial, relational, whatever, are really part and parcel of our being alive. And that this mystery called life is not something that we help to manufacture. It's a given. It's a given, so there must be a giver. A giver, the giver who must have commanded everything to come into existence. Yeah. And maybe I can conclude by saying you better go and read an article I wrote not so many months ago, Sunday Monitor, in which I title When the Word Big Banged Cosmic Evolution. When the word, that's Jesus, that's God as the Word, used just words to command everything in existence to come into existence with a bang. But from that moment to carry on with evolving. God creates instantly. But what is created instantly evolves, takes on new dimensions and new features. Yeah? So the mystery, the joy of being alive, inside which my favorite book, S1, S2, Cry the Beloved Country. Cry the Beloved Country by a Muzungu man in a absolutely black setting. A reverend who is in trouble is looking for his lost sister. Sister is gone to town. So is his brother, his son, and problems. He comes to Johannesburg and is taken in by a lady who is attached to a church. Stephen Kumaro at one point says, Mother, Mrs. Litebe. That word is spelled Lithe, Litebe, Litebe. I don't know if it's Litebe or Litebe. She says, Mother Litebe, you are kind. And she answers, for what else were we born?
Indeed.
If I can't be kind, what's my worth in this? What's my value in this life? I've shared this in the monitor. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think this is a beautiful way to end.
Yeah.
For what else were we born?
What else were we
But
born?
to be kind.
Yes.
We end this as the rain is falling.
Wow. Wow.
Which also symbolizes life.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the conversation, for taking us through your journey. I know you had one poem. I know we had a conversation offline before we started about what truly is wisdom. And that is what you will end with, and we will end our time together.
And at the beginning of our conversation, you said something about me maybe having some wisdom, having acquired some wisdom because I'm an old man now. And I said, but I believe the words of my model poet, T.S. Eliot, 1888 to 1965, he died just in the middle of my undergraduate studies, and really I was so close to that man. At some point he says, men and women don't grow wise simply because they have grown,
Grown older.
No. So here is from one of his poems. He has a series of 4 poems called Four Quartets. And one poem is called Isticoca, which is the name of a place in England. Do not let me hear of the wisdom of old men, but rather of their folly, their fear of fear and frenzy, their fear of possession, of belonging to another, or to others, or to God. The only wisdom we can hope to acquire is the wisdom of humility. Humility is endless. That's my Eliot for you.
A beautiful way to end. Humility is endless.
It's endless.
And we were born to be kind.
Yes.
Don't tell me about the wisdom of old men. Tell me about their folly.
That figure if that caught my fancy long ago. I did Eliot for my master's in the UK long ago, and really influenced even what I did eventually for my doctorate. We grow. We do not necessarily grow wise as we age, not at all.
So sometimes the age comes alone.
Alone, without the folly.
With folly.
But it is Shakespeare who says life is 7 stages. And the last scene of all that ends this eventful history is then he uses the French word S-A-N-S. I think in French it's pronounced song. So then he names the parts of the head. Sons, eyes, sons, the ears, the courtesy, the ear. Songs, teeth. And the conclusion, but the last thing is song. It was zero everything. So everything. So cynically believe that wisdom is not real, doesn't come with age. No, certainly not in all of us. None of us. And when you were thinking about Mbale women, did you remember the second Lady Mayor of Mbale?
No.
She what's her name? Naomi. Bazungu say Naomi, if we call her Naomi, and Nora Ariada. And Ariada was my mathematics teacher. I attributed to him in my Love You Beast. He's just the greatest man for sure. Not naming the woman. He's the greatest man I've ever met. Ariada was deputy chair of Public Service Commission in Obote 2, 1984, when he was murdered. Oh. Yes, when he was murdered, the family was away. He was alone in a colonial house. That day, guys just went in and murdered him. But I did a saint, or maybe it is a saint, for canon of the church.
Thank you so much, Professor Timothy Mwanguzi.
Thank you, Jackie,
for your time.
Thank you. But what is this exercise about?
So, as I explained,
You're a lawyer.
Yes, I am a lawyer.
Yes, I don't.
Yes.
And
I wandered off into following in my father's footsteps, doing leadership training. And as part of that, because one of the programs is called Change Ready, and with Change Ready, we support organizations that are going through transitions and succession moments.
yes.
So we thought, but we have our elders who have transitioned severally, some of them.
Yes.
Why don't we talk to them first to capture their life journey, but also how did they prepare for a season when you're not? So rather than recreate things out of the air, let's have conversations with our elders. So that's how we started the Footprints podcast, because we'd like you to take us through a journey on your footprints.
One of my titles, where I make one of my titles, and then my PhD turned into a book, is the Footprints, actually. Pathfinders Footprints. Yes, in African poetry or something like that. That's interesting. Yeah. So what do you see is this conversation?
It is two things. One, it is also a historical archive, because one day you will not be here, but at least we will have your voice with us. So it's a sort of historical archive of our elders. But two, yes, so it is known like, how do we capture that historical record? Yes, some have it in books, indeed, but we can also have an audio archive. But then, like I said, we're also talking to people who, because we will all one day, we're all going towards the fourth quarter of our life. It's part of the journey of life. So how do you prepare?
So, Jackie, full-time into this?
Yes. My small legal practice was in FIDA, because then even when I moved from FIDA to Oxford, I was mostly doing training of women local councillors, in the laws of local government. The father I went from FIDA, the father I went from the law.
Yeah. So you don't have a JPA or something?
No.
I see.
But I did start a company which is doing this. It's called Civ Source Africa. Civ Source.
Sure.
Civ, C-I-V, short of civilian, and source, like source in the now.
Yes.
Civ Source Africa. So we center people and we want to be a source of all kinds of things. But among them, leadership, training. We also do research in local philanthropy, local giving practices.
Yes.
So that we debunk the myth that everything we get is from the West. Our listener, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Footprints. And until we bring you another guest, it's goodbye from me and Prof. How do you say goodbye in Masaba?
Mube valai.
Mube valai.
As plural. Over ube mlai single. Mube valai.
Mube valai.
Stay good. Stay well.
Stay good.
Yes, stay good. Stay good. Stay good.
Okay. So, people, stay good. Thank you so much for listening to us. Bye-bye.